The lights on the bridge did not blink anymore. They flickered, like a tired heart. Commander VEXA RELL stood with one hand on the rail, feeling the ship shake under her boots. Every other enemy cannons came through the metal like a drumbeat saying the same thing again and again. You are done. You are done. You are done. Around her, officers worked in silence, not because they were calm, but because they had used up all their fear. When fear runs out, only routines remain. Shields. VEXA asked. The shield tech did not look up. 6%. Engines. 40% thrust. We can still turn, the pilot said, then swallowed. But not fast. Casualties? A pause. A hard breath. 217, the medic officer said. Bridge crews on decks 5 and 6 are gone. VEXA did not close her eyes. If she closed her eyes, she might not open them again. Outside the main viewport's base was full of ash and fire. Broken hull plates drifted like dead leaves. Tiny lights blinked and vanished as escape pods were hit before they could even move. The enemy did not waste shots. They had learned the Keth Swarm was not a single species. It was a hunger that used ships instead of teeth. It ate worlds, then used what it ate to grow. Their ships were ugly, black, and wrong, as if someone built them from nightmares and sharp bones. They had already taken 3 systems. This was the 4th. That fleet around VEXA was the last wall between the swarm and the refugee line. Behind her, slow civilian transports tried to flee toward Federation space. They were packed so tight with people that even the hallways were full if the war broke. The refugees died. If the wall held the fleet, died. VEXA had accepted that choice hours ago. What she had not accepted was how quiet the end would feel. A COM officer, a young Linari named Surik, lifted his head. His 4 eyes were red from smoke. Commander Surik said softly, "We received a council packet." VEXA frowned. Now? It's marked Priority Black. That code only meant one thing. The council was admitting something terrible. "Put it up," she said. A hologram formed above the console, showing the Federation seal. Then a line of text, "To all remaining commanders if you have any capacity. Lefty make contact with species file Terran." VEXA stared. She almost laughed, but nothing came out. The Terrans. Humans. The dangerous species. The ones who lived on a planet so violent that most Federation diplomats refused to land there. The ones who smiled in meetings, then casually asked questions like, "What does your armor stop?" Or "How fast can your ships accelerate before the crew blacks out?" Humans were not banned from the Federation, but they were not welcomed either. They were tolerated. Carefully. VEXA had met one human once, years ago at a training exchange, a young officer with soft skin, bright eyes, and a voice that sounded almost friendly. The human had watched a combat simulation and said, very calmly, "Your problem is that you keep trying to win. We just try to make sure the other side can't." Try again. VEXA remembered that sentence now like a blade. Surik shifted. "Commander, the council wants us to call them." "Why would they answer?" VEXA said. "They stayed out of the Federation wars for a reason." The weapons officer barked a laugh with no humor. "Because they like danger. Because they like profit." Another officer muttered. VEXA didn't know, but she knew the swarm was closing in, and hope was a small thing that had already been broken once. On the viewport, a Keth cruiser turned, aligning on the refugee line. VEXA's throat tightened. If she did nothing, the transports would be gone in minutes. If she tried something, she might by seconds. She looked at Surik, opened the Terran contact file. Surik hesitated. "Commander, the council note says..." "I know what it says." VEXA cut in, then softened her tone. "Just do it." Surik's hands moved fast. A new screen opened, showing an old diplomatic channel, dusty and unused. It had one symbol. In the center, a blue circle with a thin white curve across it. Earth. There was also a warning block in bold text. Terran contact protocol. Do not threaten, do not lie, do not offer weak terms. Speak clearly. VEXA read it twice. Then she looked at the enemy cruiser again. "Send the call," she said. Surik's voice shook. "What do I say?" VEXA took a slow breath. "Simple English." That was the language humans used most, the council file said. Not elegant, but direct. She leaned toward the mic. "This is Commander VEXA RELL of the Federation ship Bright Remnant," she said. "We are under attack. We are losing. If you can hear this, we need help." She paused, then added the truth that felt like swallowing glass. "With no hope left. We are making a final call." Surik hit send. The signal went out. A thin beam of desperate light into a dark ocean. For a moment, nothing happened. The bridge stayed the same. Smoke, alarms, distant screams in the comm channels. VEXA almost turned away. Then, the Terran channel lit up. A sound came through. Not static. Not a delayed automated response. Voice.clear.com/human. Federation ship Bright Remnant, the voice said, as if answering a normal office call. This is Terran Response Command. We hear you. Zurich froze. The entire bridge froze. VEXA felt her pulse slam in her ears. The human continued. You said you need help, the voice said. Confirm. Is this a rescue request or a combat request? VEXA blinked hard. Combat, she said. We can't hold. Copy, the human said. Send coordinates. Enemy description. Any known weaknesses? Any known rules? Rules? VEXA repeated. The human's voice did not change. Every Redditor has rules, even if they don't know it. We need them. VEXA looked at her tactical officer. Send everything, she ordered. Data poured through the channel. Keth's ship shapes, weapon types, movement patterns, their habit of targeting engines first, their refusal to chase single fighters, their strange pauses before firing large volleys. The human stayed quiet while receiving it. Then the human spoke again. Commander Rel, the voice said. Your refugee transports how many? 37, VEXA said. Solo packed. How long until the enemy reaches them? VEXA checked the plot. Her claws curled into her palm. 8 minutes, she said. The human exhaled once, like someone counting. Hold for 8, the human said. Do not break formation. Do not chase. Put your last guns on point defense. Focus only on keeping those transports alive. VEXA's mouth went dry. And you? The human's tone shifted, just slightly, like a smile in sound. We're already on the way. VEXA stared at the sensor officer. Do you see anything? The sensor officer shook his head. Nothing. No warp signature. The human's voice returned. Still too calm for the end of a world. You won't see us yet, the human said. We don't come in loud. Commander Rel, do you trust your people to follow orders? VEXA swallowed. Yes. Good, the human said. Because in a moment, you will see something that looks wrong. Don't panic. Don't shoot it. VEXA's eyes narrowed. What will we see? The human paused, then said one word. Rain. The channel cut, not disconnected. Just quiet. VEXA stood very still, listening to her own ship dying. 8 minutes. She looked at her crew. They were watching her now, waiting for a lie that could make them feel better. She didn't have one. All ships, VEXA said into fleet. Comms. New orders. Tight wall. Point defense only. Protect the transports. Do not chase the enemy. A few captains protested. Desperate voices. Angry voices. VEXA raised her voice over them. Do it, she snapped. That is an order. The Keth cruiser fired. A beam of black-white energy struck one of VEXA's escorts and carved it open like fruit. The escort broke in half, spilling crew and flame into nothing. VEXA didn't flinch. She couldn't afford it. 7 minutes. The tactical officer whispered. The swarm ships advanced like a tide. VEXA's last cruisers took hits and kept drifting. Bleeding air and sparks. Fighters screamed across the battlefield, dying fast. The transports behind them kept moving. Too slow. Too helpless. 6 minutes, someone said. VEXA's jaw locked. The enemy cruiser turned its nose toward the transports. VEXA watched it, and, for one horrible second she thought, they will die anyway. 5 minutes. Then the sensor officer's head snapped up. Commander, he said sharply. I'm seeing objects, high-speed multiple, coming from above plane. VEXA leaned in. What kind of objects? The officer's fingers shook over the display. Small. Very small, he said. Thousands. No drive signatures. No transponders. VEXA's skin prickled. Are they missiles? There are too many, the officer whispered. When they're falling. VEXA remembered a human's word. Rain. On the viewport. Space above the battle sparkled. At first it looked like stars, then it looked like glitter. Then it looked like a storm of needles. Thousands upon thousands of tiny metal rods fell through space at insane speed. Guided by gravity wells and micro-corrections, they slammed into the front line of the Keth formation. Not like explosions, like a hammer made of sand. Keth hulls shriveled, armor plates peeled off. Weapon arrays vanished in silent sprays. Fighter bays collapsed. All the swarm ships tried to turn, tried to raise shields, tried to react. But the rain did not care. It came from too many angles. It did not stop. Keth vessels began to tumble, cracked open, their insides exposed like raw nerve. Vex's bridge went silent. Then the Keth cruiser fired wildly into empty space. Confused, a new signature appeared on sensors. This time it was impossible to miss. A ripple, like space itself, was being pulled apart. 3 ships dropped out of a tight, dark jump. They did not look like Federation ships. They were not smooth, they were brutal. Angular hulls, thick armor, massive engines, too many weapon ports, and painted on the lead ship's side, in plain white letters, were words in simple English. "We came when you, Kaleda." Human voice came over. "Open fleet comes," confident and loud. "Federation war," the voice said. "This is Terran Fleet Element 9. You are holding. Good job." Exa couldn't speak for a second. Then she forced her voice out. "This is Commander VEXA RELL, Terran Fleet Element 90. Thank you." Lee Human laughed once. "Like this was a fun problem. We'll do the thanks later," the human said. "Right now we do the work." The human ship split apart, moving like predators. The swarm tried to regroup. Then the Terran showed why the Federation had called them dangerous. They didn't trade shots politely. They didn't try to disable FIRDs. They hit engines. They hit command nodes. They hit weapon control. They hit anything that let the enemy act. A Terran frigate took a direct beam hit, lost half its side, and kept moving. Then it turned and rammed a Keth destroyer at full burn. Metal met, metal v. Keth's ship shattered. The Terran frigate broke too, but it broke while taking the enemy with it. Vexa watched, stunned. Why would they sacrifice a ship like that? Her weapons officer whispered. VEXA remembered the human sentence from years ago, not to win. To make sure the other side couldn't try again. The Terrans fought like they had already accepted death, and that made them terrifying. A Keth cruiser tried to flee. A Terran ship fired something that looked like a bright thread in space. The thread wrapped around the cruiser, then the cruiser's own momentum tore it apart. "Gravity tether," Zurich whispered, reading new data as it streamed. "They tied the enemy to a moving mass." Vexa stared at the battlefield. The swarm's perfect advance was becoming chaos, and the refugees were still moving behind the wall for the first time in hours. Vexa felt something that might have been relief. Then the tactical officer's voice sharpened. "Commander," he said. "New contacts." Vexa's relief died instantly. The sensor officer's eyes widened. A second wave, larger, much larger. They were hiding behind the moon debris. On the viewport, the dark edge of the shattered moon lit up with incoming ships. Dozens, then hundreds. The real swarm fleet. The Terran voice came back, still calm. "Yep," the human said. "There's the big mouth." Vexa leaned toward the cum. "Terran Fleet Element 9. You can't take that many," the human answered, like someone hearing rain on a roof. "Who said it's only us?" A new jump ripple formed behind the Terran ships, then another, then 5 more. Space opened like doors, and through those doors came a fleet that made Vex's breath stop. Human ships, many of them. Different shapes, different sizes. Some looked like warships. Some looked like cargo haulers with guns welded on. And behind them came something massive, slow and silent. A ship so big it looked like a moving city. On its side, a simple mark, a red line, then a name in white letters. Last argument. A new voice took the cum, deeper, older. "This is Captain Mara Stone," the voice said. "Terran Coalition Command. Commander Rell, we have your refugees on our scope. We will keep them alive." Vex's throat tightened. "Captain Stone, the swarm is too many." Captain Stone spoke like a person who had fought too many wars and learned one lesson. "Too many for a fair fight," Stone said. "Good thing we don't do fair." The Terran fleet moved forward, and then something strange happened. The Terrans did not form a neat line. They scattered. They broke into small groups, like packs. The swarm fleet surged toward them, hungry. Vexa thought, "They're splitting. They'll be surrounded." Captain Stone's voice cut in again. "Sharp now, Commander Rell. Pull your wall back. Protect the transports. Let the swarm chase us." Vexa blinked. "You want them to chase you?" "Yes," Stone said. We brought them a trap." The swarm chased. They could not resist. Terran ships retreated just enough to look scared, but not enough to be caught. The swarm followed, tightening formation as they tried to crush the humans in one bite. Then Captain Stone said one word. Now, the shattered moon debris field lit up, not with bombs, with mirrors. Hundreds of hidden reflectors activated, throwing back sensor images, creating false fleets, false targets, false directions. The swarm's targeting systems began to fail. They fired into ghosts. Then the real trap arrived. From behind the Terran last argument, massive cargo doors opened, and something dark spilled out at first. VEXA thought it was smoke. Then she realized it was thousands of small drones, each carrying a single bright charge. They flowed into the swarm, formation like insects. The swarm tried to shoot them. Too late, the drones attached to Keth's hull stopped them. They pulsed. Not a blast, a cut, a bright line that sliced across armor, through internal structure, through power grids. Ships fell apart in clean pieces, as if carved by invisible knives. VEXA stared, horrified and amazed. Captain Stone spoke again, almost gently. "Commander Rell," she said, "do you know what humans learned on Earth?" VEXA swallowed. "What?" Stone's voice was low. "We learned that if something bigger tries to eat you, you don't punch the mouth," she said. "You go for the joints. You go for the nerves. You go for the parts it can't replace fast." The battle became a storm. Terran packs hit, cut, and vanished. The swarm tried to adapt. It began to spread out. To avoid traps, Captain Stone anticipated it. Human ships began to broadcast loud signals, tempting the swarm to focus. Some human ships took hits on purpose, drawing fire away from the refugees. And every time a human ship broke, it broke, usefully dropping mines, releasing decoys, slamming into enemy hulls. VEXA watched and understood something sick and true. Humans were not fearless. They just did not allow fear to stop the plan. 2 hours later, the refugee transports were far enough to jump. VEXA got the message from the transport leader. "We can warp." "Thank you." VEXA's chest tightened. But the battle wasn't done. The swarm still had ships, still had hunger. Captain Stone called VEXA directly. "Commander," Stone said, "we can push them back today, but they'll return tomorrow unless we remove the head." VEXA's eyes narrowed. "Head? The swarm isn't just a fleet," Stone said. "It's a network, a controller, a main node. Do you know where it is?" VEXA shook her head, then remembered Stone could not see her. "No." Stone's voice sharpened. "Then we find it," she said. "We follow their retreat trail. We watch where their damaged ships go. They will lead us home." VEXA hesitated. "My fleet is broken. We can't follow." Stone replied immediately. "You don't have to," she said. "You did your job. You held the line." VEXA felt something strange in her chest. Pride, relief, grief. "And you?" VEXA asked. Captain Stone's answer was simple. "We finished what you started." The Terran fleet pushed hard, driving the swarm away from the refugee path. The swarm began to retreat toward the debris belt around the system's dead gas giant. Captain Stone did not chase blindly. She sent drones and silent probes. Hours passed. Then, the probes found it. A structure hidden inside the gas giant's upper clouds, surrounded by organic ships like sleeping sharks. A hive node. A factory, a brain. VEXA watched the feed on her damaged bridge, breathing slow. Captain Stone's face appeared on screen for the first time. Human. Older, tired eyes, scar on her cheek. "Calm like stone." "We found the head," Stone said. "We cut it tonight." VEXA's voice came out rough. Stone looked straight at her. "We go inside," she said. VEXA's stomach dropped. "Inside the gas giant." Stone nodded once. "The cloud layers hide them, and hide us." VEXA stared. "That's suicide." Stone's mouth twitched, almost a smile. "So maybe," she said, "but humans have a habit. When someone calls us the most dangerous species, we feel obligated to prove we earned it." VEXA wanted to argue, but she looked at a broken fleet, with empty seats where officers had died, at the refugee transports now saved only because humans had answered a final call. She couldn't argue with results. "Can I help?" VEXA asked. Stone studied her. "Your ship can still fly?" Stone asked. "Barely," VEXA admitted. Stone nodded. "Then you can witness," she said. "And if we fail, you can warn the Federation. You can tell them what the swarm really is." VEXA swallowed. "Understood." The Terran fleet formed up. They moved toward the gas giant like a pack approaching a cave. Clouds swallowed them. Sensors went blind. The only view VEXA had came from Terran drones and faint gravimetric readings. Inside the clouds, lightning danced, like angry snakes. Swarm patrol ships drifted in the storm, trusting the planet to hide them. Terran ships moved with engines almost off, gliding on momentum, using the storm to cover their heat. It was quiet, too quiet. Then a Terran scout pinged. Contact. Close. A swarm ship emerged from the clouds, right in front of a Terran corvette. For 1 second, both ships stared at each other. Then the Terran corvette did not fire. It released something, a cloud of tiny spheres. The spheres stuck to the swarm hull and began to vibrate. The swarm ship's armor rippled like water. Then it softened. Then it tore open under its own weight. The swarm ship fell, broken, vanishing into the deeper clouds. Captain Stone's voice came over. Comes. Steady. No loud explosions, she ordered. We don't wake the nest. The fleet continued. Deeper. Darker. Dark pressure readings climbed. Then the hive node appeared on drone feed. It was huge. A living metal ring anchored around a dense core, pulsing with power. Tubes fed into it from smaller factories. Ships docked and undocked like blood cells moving through a heart. Vex's breath caught. How do you kill that? Captain Stone didn't hesitate. We don't shoot it, she said. We overload it. The last argument moved forward. Its big doors opened again. This time it released a single object. A cylinder, long and heavy, covered in warning symbols. VEX. I read the Terran label through the shaky feed. Do not arm unless you mean IT stones. Voice was quiet now. Commander Rell, she said. There are weapons you don't use unless there is no other choice. Vex's claws clenched. Is there another choice? Stone did not answer for a moment. Then she said, no. Terran ships surrounded the hive node. They didn't fire yet. They placed drones. They attached devices too. The ring's outer supports of the swarm began to notice. Ships turned. Weapon ports opened. The nest was waking. Alarms flared on Terran. Comes contact. Contact. Keth's ships inbound. Captain Stone's voice snapped like a whip. Hold them off, she ordered. 30 seconds. 30 seconds became a lifetime. Swarm ships surged from the clouds, firing beams that lit the storm. Ships answered with tight, precise bursts, cutting engines, dropping decoys, forcing the swarm to miss. A Terran destroyer took a hit and began to fall. Instead of trying to escape, it angled itself and slammed into a swarm cluster, taking 3 ships down into the storm with it. Vex's stomach twisted. 20 seconds. A Terran tech called. The cylinder near the hive node began to glow. The swarm realized too late. It rushed the device, trying to tear it away. Captain Stone's voice went cold. Detonate, she said. The cylinder did not explode outward. It collapsed inward. Space around it bent. The storm cloud twisted like a cloth, being pulled into a hole. The hive node's outer ring buckled, then folded, then vanished into a hard, bright point. For 1 second, everything went silent. Then the point released a shock wave that ripped across the clouds like a scream. Swarm ships were thrown away, spinning, breaking. The hive node was gone. Not damaged. Gone. And without it, the swarm fleet in the system hesitated like a body whose brain had stopped sending signals. Some ships drifted, some fired randomly, some simply fled. Captain Stone's voice returned, tired but steady. Head removed, she said. All units, mop up and mark survivors. No chasing into unknown space. Vexa sat back slowly, realizing she was shaking. On her bridge, officers stared at the feed like they had just watched a god die. Sarek spoke in a whisper. Kill the swarm. Vexa swallowed. They cut its head, she corrected softly. Hours later, the storm cleared enough for sensor readings. The gas giant's upper clouds were torn, swirling in strange patterns. Terran ships climbed out of the atmosphere like dark birds returning from a hunt. Many were damaged, some were missing, but the swarm was broken. Captain Stone opened. Comes to Vexa again. Her face looked even more tired now, but her eyes were steady. Commander Rell, she said, your refugees are safe. Your system is safe for now. Vex's voice came out hoarse. Why did you come? Stone watched her for a long moment. Then she said something simple. Because you asked, Stone replied, and because we remember what it feels like when no one answers. Vexa felt a tight pain behind her eyes. She forced the words out. The Federation feared you, she said. They called you dangerous. Stone nodded once. We are, she said. But dangerous doesn't mean cruel. Stone leaned closer to the camera, her voice low, honest, and sharp. Commander, tell your council something, she said. Tell them this. Vexa held still. Stone spoke slowly. like she wanted every word remembered. When hope is gone, don't call the kindest species, Stone said. Call the one that learned to survive without hope. Vex's throat tightened. We'll tell them, she promised. The Terran channel cut. Outside the viewport, broken ships drifted in the quiet after battle. Vexa looked at the empty seats on her bridge. Then she looked at the refugee path. Now clear. She understood something now. The Federation had spent years avoiding humanity, pretending humans were a problem that could be ignored. But the galaxy was full of problems that didn't care about diplomacy, and when the end came, the only thing that mattered was this. Who answers the call? Vexa turned back to her crew. Set course for Federation space, she said. We're going home. Zurich nodded, wiping his eyes quickly. Yes, Commander. The bright remnant limped forward, a wounded ship carrying a story the galaxy would never forget. A story about the day the Federation had no hope left, and the most dangerous species answered anyway.